Thank you so much, Bruce, for joining in. I've been listening to FinTech leaders since morning, and I realized that how big is FinTech. Can you point out at some sunshine segments under FinTech that excites you the most?
So, you know, from our perspective, I think wealth management and asset management is ripe for the most change, and I think AI is going to be at the heart of much of that change. So for us, that's why we've put ourselves in that part of the industry. So I think that's an obvious one. From an India perspective, I think the challenge is how do we get to the next group of people? How do we get to the next part of society, and how do we move on there? And there was some really interesting conversations around how we provide loans on gold, how we provide loans and leverage to people around property. So I think there's a lot of things going on that are very India specific that I think are really interesting and can really transform the country.
Do you somehow feel this segment is getting spiced up and it's hot right now, and a lot of people trying to enter the same segment and intensifying the competition somehow? How do you look at this dynamic?
So when you've got more than a billion people, it's too easy to write a business plan that says I need to get to a few million people and look how much money I'll make. Right? Every business plan in the world looks like that. So from a scale perspective, India gives you a scale that nowhere else does. China doesn't do it. No one else. India gives you that. So I think that as a consequence of that means a lot of the business plans that have been created in the last 5 to 10 years have been based on getting to lots and lots of people. So from a fintech perspective, there's been a lot which is about distribution. And I think the change that I'm seeing now is actually to make money in distribution is quite hard. What you need to do is you need to build good products. So it's actually about manufacturing. So again, if I listen to some of the really interesting ideas that I heard today, there were people who were creating products. And it was less about how they distributed it, because there's plenty of distribution channels. It was more about how they imagined and how they came up with a new product idea, and that's where the difference is. So when I think about fintech, what really excites me in the new stuff is products. I've got to believe that distribution is going to be there through the older ones.
Despite knowing the fact that there is innovation bubbling in this sector and all the deeper segments of the sector, I believe that this is still a metro phenomena. This is somewhere going deeper into the regions across India.
Yeah.
But what has been your observation like?
So,
and this goes same for AI also.
Yeah, look, I think one of the biggest benefits India's got is the average age is 28. And the average age is 28, and that means we've got lots and lots of young people, and young people are technology first. So that means all the stuff that we're doing in terms of how we drive, frankly, whether it's DPI or anything else, technology is that backbone that's going to make a difference when you get to tier 2, tier 3 and beyond that. And I think, DPI has been a fantastic start, but I think you need adoption on the other side. When you've got largely a young population, I think you'll start to see more and more pool. And the example that I used when I was speaking earlier was before the GST rules changed, Dream 11 had more active traders, for want of a better word, than there are people who own mutual funds in India. That tells me there's lots and lots of people with small amounts of money who want to actually try and do something with it. So there's the opportunity set's there. It's about how we get to that market, and technology is part of the answer. Language is part of the answer, and I think that's if I again look at DPI and look at what's coming through on language and language models, I think there's a lot of change coming there that will really start to kind of creep in and make a difference.
Very interesting. Adding to what you just said on the absorption part of it, today morning we had a keynote address, and somebody mentioned a number to that. So the absorption of fintech, so to say, has gone up to 87% in India. How open people are. I was speaking to some leader from crypto. and he said that our average consumer age is 25 to 35. So the fact that you mentioned, I just added to that. The final bit of our conversation: how open, how bullish are investors right now when we look at startups, irrespective of the sector? Let's stick to fintech because we are speaking in that backdrop, or let's say AI maybe.
Yeah.
How bullish or how open are investors in 2025? I'm asking this question because in the last year, 2024, this was predicted that the later half of the 2025 will be more relieved, more flexible, more open. I am not seeing it happening. What's your take?
So I think there's a few things at play. You know, the first one's what's going on in the US. You know, we can't control what's going on in the US. Frankly, there's only one person who can, and you know, let's kind of reserve judgment on that individual, shall we? So putting that aside for a second, there's gonna be a lot of volatility. So whatever happens, there's going to be volatility in the markets. So from a public markets perspective, expect things to go up and down. But fundamentally, from a demographics perspective and everything else that's going on, I think India's a 20-year bull run. I think we're sitting at the start of a 20-year bull run. So long as you can invest capital and stay invested, it doesn't matter if it goes up and down a bit, because over the long term, you'll see that benefit come through. So I'm a strong believer in India as an investment destination. How you then think about kind of, you know, individually within that, how VCs and private markets are thinking about different opportunities, I think there will be areas there that are overvalued. I'm not close enough to it. I would always say, as an investor, investing in the public market's easy because you can get out. Wherever you get in, you can get out. If you're investing in private markets, you know, you can't get out to the same extent. So as individual investors, I would always say, make sure you do that with money that you don't need access to at any point in time.
Just the final bit of it, Bruce. What's the next big trend, or let's say, what's the next big thing in wealth management tech, or let's say retail investment?
You know, what we're doing is we've got our own foundational models. We've built them ourselves, made in India. We don't rely on other people's LLMs. We don't rely on other people's Gen AI. And through the back of that, we've been able to bring down the cost of manufacture. So basically creating investment predictions and model portfolios to a level that makes it really affordable to sort of push this out across lots and lots of different places. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see investment management really start to adopt AI and to use AI in a way to bring their research and to bring their recommendation and their portfolio build cost down. And that's going to have a massive knock-on effect to consumers.
Thank you for speaking with us, Bruce.
Thank
Lovely.
you.